What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Jordan J and Buddies podcast. Been a little while. Took a bit of a break there for Christmas and New Year's and everything else. But we're back, and we're back to talk about the final MCU show of 2021. And I'm back, of course, with the good buddy Brannon.
What up? We back.
So, yeah, we're back. We never left. We just didn't have the mics out for a little while.
We got lazy.
Yeah, we got real lazy, complaisy. But we're back. We're back, and we're better than ever. And we're talking about a show that I think was really good. I think it was really good.
I thought that it was a show that a lot of people expected to go under the radar, but I mean, it blew me out of the water. It blew my expectations way out of the water.
Because I didn't know what to expect for this one, honestly. I was like, Hawkeye's going to be in it, and he's going to train the new Hawkeye. Beyond that, I knew essentially nothing. And I was like, let's see. I've always liked Hawkeye. I've always liked Jeremy Renner in the role. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, and especially, like, there had been talks for years that they were going to adapt the Kate Bishop run from the comics where he trains Kate Bishop. Super excited, obviously, talking about Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I don't think we said that. But, yeah, so he's training Kate Bishop, and when they cast, what's her name? It's already blinking from me. Haley Steinfeld?
Haley Steinfeld,
yeah. She, like, that casting was perfect already, and then seeing the behind the scenes when they were filming the show and everything else was also good. But again, I didn't expect the show to be that good, man.
Yeah, she has the charisma right off the bat to just be in these things. Which I will say, because we've seen this with a couple people, and then we've seen other people who stumble with it. Like, I would say Sylvie from Loki hit the ground running. She was so good,
killed it.
But then, like, my first example is Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Is like, she's a good actress, but she's not at the MCU caliber yet. And I'm excited to see more of her. I'm not trying to just trash Captain Marvel in every podcast that we do.
Yeah.
But she doesn't quite have it. Whereas I think that Haley Steinfeld hit the ground running also. She's so good right off the bat.
True.
She's just really good. Maybe she has a little bit of experience because she was Gwen in Spider-Verse.
Yeah, true.
But still, it's a different medium. It's live action.
See, and I love that Marvel...
Not that they're not comparable. I'm not dropping that point.
Oh my god, they're not comparable. They are in their own fields. We've been through this. Anyways, Marvel has been killing it lately with their characters, like just their side characters, like Monica Rambeau. I'm super interested to see more of her. Yelena Belova, super interested to see more of her.
Oh.
Sylvie, super interested. Again, like we just said, like Haley Steinfeld's character. I can't wait for more. I can't wait for more team-ups. I can't wait for more action. They had a really good dynamic, her and Jeremy Renner, through the show.
Yes.
But I also feel like they ended it on a good note to where, like, I just can't wait to see her interact with more of the Marvel Universe.
Oh, absolutely. And just a quick note here behind the fourth wall. There is a dog barking in the background.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're doing our best about the recording medium, but just so you guys are aware, we're aware of it too.
She doesn't stop.
It's the best we can do. We're hoping she'll settle down, but it is what it is. So just so you guys know, we know it too.
Yeah, I'm like, she's inside through a thick plastic glass door. It's not plastic, but either way, she just doesn't stop. She wants attention. She's all loves. But
she's absolutely the best. But just so you guys know, we're also aware of it.
As we said that, she laid down.
She's laying down.
She's laying down
be
now.
Better.
Thank you. Anyways, back to the podcast.
We see how good Kate Bishop is, that Haley Steinfeld is in the role immediately, and we're gonna just kind of hit spoilers throughout this whole thing. It's been out for a month. If you haven't seen it, that's on you. That we see her interacting with Yelena in episodes 5 and 6. And those are some fantastic interactions.
Yeah.
It's this kind of thing where it's like, man, are they like best friends already? Like, this is so good. But they're not. They clearly want to fight each other, but they're also just like talking like friendly. Because how else would you? She's cordial. She's a nice person. But like, she's also like angry at her.
Well, you understand what they were doing there, right?
In what sense?
They just developed another Hawkeye Black Widow friendship that's going to last a long time. Like, they just did what they did with Hawkeye and Black Widow the first time. But
true.
They showed you the origin. Instead of having to tell you the origin and then go back a little bit, we get to see it develop. Because, again, say what you want about Natasha Romanoff's storyline, but, like, her and Clint Barton had great scenes together all the time, whether it was Civil War or the Avengers movies, all the way through Endgame. It was great, and I like that even in this series, they call back to that. Hawkeye has PTSD from that moment still, where she made him let go, and he just regrets that every single day.
Which is a great thing that this series does, is that I think it does a lot of really good character work with Yeah, of course he's not really over her, but he's living his life, and he's not. We don't see him spending every single moment just breaking into tears, and he can't handle it. But we see him take a couple of times where he's got to just like take a step back and just like think about what happened,
like
because especially because they were right there with each other. He's carrying around the extra "it should have been me" kind of guilt too. Yeah. So like when he stops outside of the Avengers Tower or wherever that is, where they've got that little plaque dedicated to all 6 of them, and he takes out his hearing aid to just talk to her. I love that scene. That is such a good piece of character work for him, because I don't know how much more of Jeremy Renner we'll be seeing going forward.
I think
this is clearly them writing him into an end or close to it. You know, like I don't know if we're ever gonna see him again, but if it's gonna be less and less. And I think this was a really good piece of work for him.
I honestly wouldn't be shocked if this is the final time we see him, because the way the series ended, he made it home for Christmas. He's back with his family. There's a new Hawkeye. Everything's taken care of. He can finally fade off into the distance. Like, I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, because I've always loved him in the role, and I've always wanted more of him. It always felt like he got a little shafted in various things. You know, and every time he was in there, I was like, oh, that was good. I want so much more, though. Like, he's in the Avengers movie, but he's brainwashed for the first hour and a half. Then he's in Age of Ultron, and honestly, I have no complaints about him in that movie. I think that's pretty good. Then he's not in Infinity War at all. And, like, yeah, that's good. I mean, they wrote it well into the story. I still just missed him being there, though.
Speaking of Age of Ultron, before I forget it, did you like how they paid off that Easter egg?
Which one?
How, when they first meet Hawkeye's family, Tony Stark's first words is, "That woman is an agent." Hawkeye's wife was an agent. They confirmed. This is more of a deeper cut for comic fans, but the reason why he was going after the watch and stuff, and he's like, "Hey, I got it back for you," and she flips it, and there's the shield sign with the number 13. She's Agent 13. She's Mockingbird, who was a shield agent that in the comics got with Clint Barton.
Okay.
So like they still followed it through, and they paid off an Easter egg that seemed like a joke of like, this woman was an agent, and these are little agents. Like obviously the kids aren't agents, but like,
yeah,
I really just like all of the small deep cuts. Another one I like is we got to see Hawkeye make his arrows.
Yes, I love that a lot. I love the arrow stuff. I love that we got to see this peek into like how he kind of does it, and like what kind of just BS arrows they have. Like these things that are just like ridiculous arrows. Like that one where he's like, just fire it straight up, and she's like, why? He's like, just do it, and then he hits the arrow with another arrow and just makes it grow.
Yeah, he has the
like,
pinparticles. He's like, gotta ask Scott about that one. Like, oh my god, I love the Ant-Man reference.
Speaking of Scott and Ant-Man references, he pops up in the Avengers musical, the Steve Rogers musical.
Yes.
And Hawkeye's like, he wasn't even there. This thing doesn't know what they were doing. And for a while I was like, yeah, what is that? But then you think about it, and you think about Endgame. You're like, wait, there was time travel, and Scott time traveled back to 2012. Somebody somewhere saw Ant-Man running around in 2012 and was like, he's part of the Avengers. And so they put him in there. Plus, you got to think about in Endgame too, Steve and Tony take off, leaving Ant-Man behind. Would you put it past him to go jump into the fight with that scepter and blast a couple of aliens? I mean, I'm sure he was doing it. It's Ant-Man.
Sure, cracking some Paul Rudd jokes while he's at it.
He's like, hey, as long as the timeline's already messed up, let me just go blast some people with this thing.
He gets back afterwards and he's like, oh, they didn't say anything. I guess Back to the Future really is bullshit.
I guess it worked. I guess I'm fine. And then nope, he got exposed. He's in the musical.
Yeah, dude, I really did like that a lot. I mean, they just, even the storylines, this is another show that, to hit more on the other side of things for a second, because we are giving it a lot of praise, you know,
sure.
And we know that there were certain criticisms levied. There's even one of the 3 people on this podcast that didn't like it.
Yeah.
Had to call it out.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's, I do get to an extent, is a phrase that I've heard is it got WandaVisioned, meaning it was still a really, really good show by the end of it, but they had to cut certain storylines out, or they had to stitch certain stuff together, and you could definitely tell that. Like, the dude Kazi and the whole storyline, like, he was a really good character. I love the Tracksuit Mafia in general.
Yeah.
Let's hit on that for a second.
Yeah.
There's super kooky brand of villains from the comics that do that.
Straight off
Come
the
on,
comic
bro.
page,
What are we doing, bro?
How stupid they are. I love it so much.
They nailed it, you know, because they were like the perfect balance for the Hawkeye series, honestly.
Absolutely.
But Kazi in the comics is Clown, who was Marvel's version of the Joker. He has different makeup and all this. And they were going to do that storyline for a long time, which would have been cooler. They would have set him up for the Echo series. But apparently, last minute, the Hawkeye directors and writers were like, we don't want to get sued by DC with how much Joker stuff they're coming out with. Because yes, he is a character from our comics, but like, it's kind of a gray area with the storyline. So we're just going to back off that and just leave him as is. I was kind of hurt by that, because I was so hyped to see like this man develop into another villain we'd see later on, and instead he just got killed.
Yeah.
So it was another Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision thing to where it's like you led up to a certain storyline, and then like you didn't necessarily not stick the landing, but it definitely felt kind of rushed or
cut it off.
Yeah.
Like there could have been more there. It's like there's some early MCU things that just have never gotten paid off because they've already been told. And it's like there's only so much that you can do with some of this stuff. I can't think of a good example of that, but there's just so many things that are like, they could have done more with that, but now the character's dead. So, I mean, multiverse, time travel, who knows, who cares? Like, who's to say what could still be coming down the pipeline? But there's some things where it's like, that feels like it's put to bed. You know, like there's people who are like, I would really love to see Iron Man properly interact with the Mandarin. And it's like, that will probably never happen.
Yeah.
And bummer, but what are you going to do? This is where the rubber meets the road as far as comics are not live action. So the comics can work, whereas the live action, they're limited by contract constraints, is what I was trying to go for there. And, you know, just people aging, people not wanting to be typecast into a role for forever. And, like, so that's just the problem with it.
Yeah, and, like, on the other side of things, too, though, on something they had to fix is originally they were going to have Kate Bishop's mom, supposedly, they were going to have her be the main villain of the series, and she was going to wind up being a version of Madame Mask, who's, like, a Kate Bishop and Hawkeye villain, you know? So that would have been a really cool twist. But instead, they pulled that storyline back, but they didn't butcher her character. If anything, they kind of made her a really sympathetic character at the end, where it's like she's done all this bad stuff, but it's because she's also under the thumb of somebody way bigger who I was hyped to see, the Kingpin.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the reasons why so many people are praising this series. I think it was the cherry on top. I think even without Kingpin, I
was enjoying it until he showed up, then I was like, oh, this is even cooler.
Yeah.
But I didn't need Kingpin to make the show great.
Well,
you know?
Even if they would have left it at the uncle storyline or whatever with Echo, like, oh, uncle's here to pick you up, and then it was just him, we all knew it was Vincent D'Onofrio. We all saw, like, anybody who had seen Daredevil, and especially hardcore fans like me, like, we were examining that, like, oh, cool. I would have been a little hurt if he didn't show up, but the fact he did, and the fact that, like, it was so consistent, like, with the continuity. Like, I get he wasn't as dark as the Daredevil version yet. Like, we didn't get to see him kill somebody with a car door. I get it. But you got to see him take an arrow to the chest.
And then he rips it out and just keeps walking.
And it's a Hawkeye arrow, too. It's not a normal arrow. It's a Hawkeye arrow.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like, he gets blown up. He gets shot in the face by Echo, and everyone's like, I can't believe they killed Kingpin already. They didn't. Pick up a comic book. It's part 1 of 2. He's going to come back blind, and he's going to come back even stronger.
Yeah, exactly. So I love what they did with him. I have never even seen Daredevil aside from the classic 2005 thriller with Ben Affleck, or 2003. Yikes.
We are going to watch that show soon, though.
I'm fine, but no, yeah.
Don't lie.
Yeah. So, like, I'm looking forward to watching it eventually. I've heard it is among the best Marvel/comic book products ever made.
1,000%.
Which I'm very excited for. And I know that Jordan is also a big fan of it. I'll speak for him for a moment. I know that he does not like what they did with Kingpin, which I find incredibly interesting, because I did, and I don't know Kingpin. You did, and you do know Kingpin.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because he's a huge Daredevil fan, too. So I don't know. I'm not sure if he's going to make a rebuttal to this or if he's just going to kind of angrily stew about Kingpin. Yeah. Either way, though, I think that's an interesting little thing there, too.
Yeah.
But I was going to say also, like, Yelena was so good in here on her own, because we talked about her alongside Kate Bishop, but like she was the one part of Black Widow that I absolutely loved with no asterisks. I loved her in Black Widow so much, and I was like, you know what, I'm excited to see what she's going to show up in next. And this was the next thing, and she's so good in it because she's full of charisma and she's just like excited to be there.
Yeah.
But she's also like scary. Like you're scared of her because she has shown herself to be intimidating and a huge threat. But she's also like funny, and she's like a real person. She's well written right from the jump, as opposed to Black Widow being like the assassin with the sexual entendre lines, and she's always wearing stuff that's a little bit too tight, but she doesn't have like a real personality. Like Yelena's a person, and I really like it. So.
Yeah, they've developed her really well, and especially like you said, is she was intimidating. They even point that out where she's like, "Hello, Kate Bishop. How are you doing, Kate Bishop? I like hot sauce, Kate Bishop." And she's like, "Do you keep saying my full name because you're trying to intimidate me?" And she's like, "Yes." Like, I like that she's so cold and calm with it, but yet so playful at the same time. Like, of course I am. Like, I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to do here. And I like that we got to see her mission pick up, because at the end of Black Widow, again, it's, here's the serum. go save as many widows as you can. And then it was left up, is she going to save the widows? Is she going to use them for her own gain now and kind of go anti-hero status? And we did see in this one of the first scenes, she's still helping save widows. And that's another point I like about Yelena. We got to see another version of the Snap we hadn't seen before. They keep adding layers of the Snap that we do not think of.
Like they've worked it into so many of these shows. Like we didn't directly see it in the Falcon and Winter Soldier. But it was a big prevalent thing of like, what is the after effects?
The devastation.
Like geopolitically, how are they handling all this? We see it in Spider-Man Far From Home, where we see it on video at the school recording thing. We see it in WandaVision when Monica Rambeau rematerializes. We see it from Hawkeye's family when they vanish.
Yeah.
And now we see it from the perspective of a person who got blipped.
Yeah.
Because it's immediate for her. She's washing her hands, and then she reappears, and she's still in the middle of washing her hands. And then we see like everything change around her.
Yeah, that was a really cool effect.
It was so cool because, of course, she, for a second, like, she doesn't know what's happening. It's like she just, like, blinked weird or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait a minute, the room's different. What's going on? It was so cool. It was so cool.
And I do like that they even narrowed that down even further, because we all still were like, okay, so is this just seeming off for her? But then even afterwards, she's like, don't tell me to calm down. I just went in the bathroom for 20 seconds, and you're telling me 5 years of my life is gone. Like, yeah, that is how somebody would react if they weren't ready for it. Like, even in Avengers Infinity War, they were fighting Thanos. They knew the inevitability if he succeeded. So it's like, yeah, they didn't know who was going to die or what was going to happen necessarily, but they knew the catastrophic events. Yelena was just a chick going about her business, still saving widows, doing her daily duty, and then just, boom, gone for 5 years.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it was great. There's so much about this show that I really, really like. Like, I don't mean to just blindly praise this, but I'm having a bit of trouble thinking of things I didn't like.
I want only, it's not falling on deaf ears, and that is a pun, because Echo was also a great, great character in this show. I love that they cast an actual deaf actress who this is her debut, from what I've read at least. Could be wrong there, but I have seen that like this is one of her first acting gigs. I love that the crew did say offset too, that they learned sign language and everything to work with her. Even Jeremy Renner did, and that's something else I love. The fights between Hawkeye and Echo, because Echo's like, in my head, I'm with this disability, I had to cater around it. You're cheating. You're using technology. You're using hearing aids. Fight me without this. Like, learn how to actually fight through your disabilities, because this show does hit Hawkeye getting old. Hawkeye was old from the start, but now he especially old, and he's been through stuff. One of the big complaints about Hawkeye being one of the weaker Avengers is, how did he survive all of this? There's no way a man would survive. You're gonna tell me you could get exploded in Avengers compound and come out of it? It's like, he didn't come out of it without damage. Nobody said he came out of it unscathed, and I like that this show didn't just kind of touch on it. They dove deep into it.
Yeah. It becomes a huge plot point where it's like right from the beginning, because like one of the first scenes with him in it is them at the musical, and he's doing some stuff with his hearing aid, including taking it out so he doesn't have to hear the musical. And then somebody asks him, I forget where it comes from, if it's Kate or somebody else, who's like, why do you need those? And then it just shows a quick cut of like 30 seconds of him just like getting destroyed in previous movies. It's like, oh, there he is crashing through a window, there he's getting blown up, like, and he's like, yeah, that's it.
And they did so well, even with just that small detail. That's why I like hyping this show so much on this level, is because it is a comic book cut that Clint Barton eventually goes deaf through time and uses hearing aids. But then they also related it to real life people, and like people that could try to relate to the struggle, all the way down to, yeah, you see him fighting a deaf person, but you even see him trying to talk to his son on the phone, and his hearing aid's broken from that fight, and he can't hear what his son is saying. And that, like, I don't even really like kids, that's not a secret, but like that pulled my heartstrings, man. Like when Kate has to come in and like interpret what Nate is trying to tell his dad, that was a really good scene. I like that they used this small detail to pay off a comic Easter egg, to make humorous jokes, to move the plot forward, to make it emotional. Like, this show is just so well on so many levels. If you could pull it off with one small detail, when you look at the bigger things, between him making his arrows, between him developing like just the relationship, passing on the mantle, training the new people, stepping back finally. Hawkeye said since Age of Ultron he didn't want to be an Avenger, and he even hits on it again in this. Is like, nobody really talks about you in the musical, Dad. Yeah, I didn't want to be noticed. Like,
yeah,
he's never been a big flashy guy like Iron Man or Thor or Hulk. Like, he's just Clint Barton, man.
He's just a family guy who has this job with S.H.I.E.L.D., you know. When last we saw him before he got sucked into any of this, all he was doing was just keeping watch over the Tesseract And then Loki takes control of him, and so he's like, no, I want revenge on Loki. He doesn't want to join the Avengers little boy band. He wants to take revenge on the guy who messed him up. That's it. You know, and then he's friends with Black Widow, so he's there to help her.
Exactly.
So he has really interesting motive, you know, and we see that fleshed out really, really well here, where he's like, I want to just get this done so I can just get home and not have this be a problem anymore. But we see his heart get there, where he's like, but I don't want to just leave all this crap on Kate Bishop's door. This wasn't her fault either. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And that's where the hero comes in.
And so it's like, yeah, he's a good person, and he's a good hero, and he wants to help. And so this was a great character study for him. It was a great introduction for Kate Bishop, and it was a great next chapter for Yelena, and it sets up a lot of stuff, including the whole what are they going to do with the Netflix Marvel shows question is finally slowly being answered.
Yeah,
you know?
We got the 1-2 punch. I said it in our Spider-Man review. I'm going to say it again, because Daredevil was the 2 punch, Kingpin was the 1 punch. They purposely did that to where Hawkeye dropped and No Way Home dropped. I almost said Far From Home. No Way Home dropped the next day, so it would just be like, yeah, you guys ready for this? We're ramping it up, you know? Like, I'm just waiting for Jessica Jones to appear in a series now, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I'm looking for. I hope Daredevil comes back, but it's Ben Affleck.
Oh my god, you keep saying that, and if they're gonna do it, it's gonna be a Doctor. What if they do it in Doctor Strange 2 though?
I want to meet all of the alternates in Doctor Strange 2. I want to see Ben Affleck. I want to see Eric Bana and
oh my god, Edward Norton
as Bruce Banner.
No,
I want to see just all of that stuff. I want to see Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider show up in something like. But
no, just overall, I would say at least give this show a watch at least one time. Like, I personally like it just as a fan of Marvel, but even not as a fan of Marvel, I feel like you could give this. It's not something you would binge consistently. I don't think if you weren't a fan of Marvel, but I think that you could get through it. I think you would really enjoy it, and you would understand what's going on.
Yeah. Because to me, we have a good friend who complains about not caring about Phase 4 because Phase 3 wrapped everything up so nicely with Endgame, which is, I get it, a little bit. But to me, this is the perfect blend of return to form plus establishing new stuff. We get to see the send-off to one of our 6 big ones. You know, Hawkeye's been there since the beginning. His first movie was Thor 1, you know? Like, so we get to see him, and it feels like classic Avengers shenanigans a little bit, but with these twists of no, we're opening up some more threats, we're keeping some stuff going, but we're tying off an old story, and I loved it so much for that reason. You know, I've always loved Jeremy Renner in this role, and I'm so happy to just see more of him. And I just thought this was just so good on so many levels.
I'm happy we finally have a property for all 6 core Avengers. Because, again, I can talk crap about the Incredible Hulk movie, but it's because I've seen the Incredible Hulk do better since then. Like, I like Mark Ruffalo in the role a lot better than Edward Norton. Sure, I know that he was their first choice. I know that right now it seems like they've worked out some stuff with Universal first off to get She-Hulk approved, but now Namor's going to be the villain in Black Panther 2. Knock on wood here, but we could eventually see a Mark Ruffalo Hulk solo movie if Universal and Marvel worked out their stuff behind the scenes that we don't know about. So I would love to see that and compare it. But overall, Captain America, great trilogy.
Yeah.
Iron Man, great trilogy.
Thor stumbles until the last one.
Yeah, Thor, same thing. It was all right for the first one, really took a downturn for the second one, and then ramped up for the third one.
Yeah.
Black Widow, again, I will say is essential. They should have put it between Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, to be honest. That would have been the best place, and then put Captain Marvel after that. But besides that, Black Widow is still essential, especially now with Yelena coming back in Hawkeye. And Hawkeye, a good send-off. Like, I'm pleased with the core 6, and I'm pleased with how much has been opened up between past stuff and future stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that about does it. Real quick, I did want to also say, because now to just do a real quick ranking of my personal ranking, because I know it's going to probably differ a little bit, of the 5 Marvel shows from last year, is I'll say Loki is at the top, and I think most people will probably agree with that. Then I will say it is genuinely a bit of a toss-up for me between WandaVision and Hawkeye, because they're both so good, but for vastly different reasons. Hawkeye is not a crazy premise that's like a mystery unfolding kind of thing, and WandaVision is not grounded the way that Hawkeye is. They're both serving completely different narratives, but they both do whatever they're doing excellently, you know.
That is true.
And so it's hard to compare them because they're both peak and both really, really good. What If is a little bit below that just because, I didn't like the Gamora thing. I didn't like how she kind of got pulled out of it. I didn't like, the Killmonger one is a little weak overall. But still, I like it a lot. And then Falcon Winter Soldier falls to the bottom because COVID hit them hard. They couldn't produce it properly. But I still think it does those things right. It makes us care about John Walker, the Falcon, and the Winter Soldier. And so that's all that really matters. They stuck it. I want to see more of them. I just don't want to see more of the Flag Smashers.
I'll give you that.
That's my ranking. And
See, and I'll give you that is, for the most part, I'm kind of along the same lines as mine is, I would definitely say Loki first. Loki just... I knew it was going to be great, but it just hit on so many different levels that, that is the only Phase 4 show that I've watched not once, not twice, but I think I've watched it 3 or 4 times at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. It is law.
It is law. If you talk about anything that involves Owen Wilson,
you must do the say wow. People would be like, wow, did you really just do a wow? Yeah,
and wow, we did.
Wow. But, so I would put Loki first. Yeah, it really is a toss-up between WandaVision and Hawkeye, isn't it? I literally said Hawkeye got WandaVision earlier in this episode, so I guess they are ranked. And then I would say Falcon and Winter Soldier is at the bottom, definitely, because I really like John Walker's storyline. I like that they're setting up the Thunderbolts. I like what they did with Valentina, Contessa's character, especially now that we also know she's working for Kate Bishop's mom. Let's see how that pulls in the future.
Yeah.
So that's cool, because that's still an open thread, too. But I really like what they did with that, but it was rushed in the end. I agree. I didn't really like the Flag Smashers. I like their motives, but I did not like...
But they were poorly written, is the problem.
Especially, Morgenthau. Carly Morgenthau, I wanted to like her, and I'm shocked that I even remember her name.
Me too.
Because...
I can only really remember it because of that time that John Walker screamed her last name.
Same. That's
Morgenthau!
why. And that is an amazing scene, but it's just she went from one moment of I'm gonna kill you, you're not gonna stop me, to instantaneously, not exaggerating, instantaneously getting hit, she's about to die, and she's like, I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? Your last words before this were, I'm gonna kill you.
At least die by your principles. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, for real. But and then What If is in its own side thing until What If Season 2 or until I Am Groot or some other animated thing comes to where it can be properly compared.
Oh, it can be. Because you can compare live action and animated.
I don't know about that. I think they're in their own spheres. We could beat this dead horse forever. Forever. It's bones at this point. They're dust. They're gone. Stop grinding it. It's over. They're not comparable.
Stay tuned for more of Brannon and Will digging up the past.
For real, though.
This comes up anytime we talk about anything from those 2020 shows.
It really does. It's just going to come up in general because, again, most people, this is statistically, you saw the statistics too, most people agree with me. They're in, and you even, it still blows my mind that to an extent you agree with me that they're in their own spheres and they deserve their own topics. It's not just animated, but there's their own subgenres of animated, but then you're still, I don't know, man. We can't hit this forever. I'm honestly, whatever.
Yeah. I'll leave it on the table. Maybe we'll pick it up again someday. I don't know.
Can you tell I got triggered?
But, so of course, if you like the podcast, you can follow it at Instagram at Jordan J and Buddies. We are also posting on YouTube. We're trying to kick things back up. We're trying to hit 2022 running. Man, it's still weird to say that year. It does not feel like 2022. But Jordan posted that recent episode with him and the other podcast crossing over. So we are trying to do more and more regular stuff. Jordan's trying to get back involved a little bit. I know he's just been going through some MCU fatigue. But me and Brandon we are not short on topics at all. It's just, it is so cold where we're recording.
Yeah, it is freezing. I'm getting stuff together. I'm shivering right now, honestly, but it's worth it. And we are going to breach. I got to keep saying this. We're going to hit MCU topics, hopefully more relevant as they're coming. We're not going to wait a month, but I can't wait for Moon Knight. Moon Knight's the next thing. Super excited. Super, super excited. But, we're also going to be breaching on a lot of other topics finally. We're going to hit other shows. We're going to hit even more debates besides.
Yeah, we have a lot of debates lined up because I know that's good because people can take a stance on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm excited to see more and more of what people have to say about our debates.
Yeah, see how many people side with me, just like they did the last time, that it's not comparable. Live action is not comparable to animated, Will.
Anyway.
It's not.
Yes, it is. No, you want to plug anything?
You plug me.
So you can follow Brandon at Canva Butter. That's CANV as in Victor, ABUTTER on Instagram. He posts art, food, and just a whole lot of stuff. He sells art commissions. If he can do it, he'll try to. It's some good stuff. I have about 7 pieces myself, and they're all fantastic.
Hey man, that was a pretty good plug. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Oh wow, you're still here.
Yeah, I'm actually still here. I came back. I was listening to the plug. That was actually really nice. Go follow Will too. It's his normal Instagram at Will Newcomb. But like this man is funny. He's always posting new stuff. And again, we're gonna hit the ground running with these new podcast episodes. Hopefully, we'll be alternating some with us, some with Jordan and his buddies, some with all of us together. You never know what's coming.
Yeah. So that's it for us. We'll start the outro real quick.
I'm freaking cold. That's my outro.
Yeah,
I'm outroing. I'm exiting.
I'm sick of being outro because it is cold outro. You know what I'm saying? Catch you guys next time. That was the outro.